Welcome to the virtual tour of the solar electric installation at our home. This is not the first solar project for us. Back in 2007 and 8, we installed solar energy systems. First system was a solar thermal hot water system, and a year later, an 8-panel solar electric system. I suppose this qualifies us as early adopters. Just after the solar electric system was installed, Georgia Power, our energy supply system, replaced all meters in the system with smart meters. And shortly after that, I had a visit from a GP employee who asked if I planned to sell power to Georgia Power from my tiny system. I explained that no, I had not planned to sell power and that I didn't believe that my installation was up to the task. His response was that we would be designated our system as a hobby system. He told me that if I wanted to sell power to the grid, it would cost me $150 a month to read the meter and handle the billing process. I told him designation as a hobby system was fine by me. In 2019, we participated in a SolArk project, which involved several counties and cities in north central Georgia. I anticipated that this would be our opportunity to take advantage of the improvements and developments in local solar electric systems. Our goals were to have a hybrid system, part grid-tied, like our original system, and part grid-independent by installing batteries, something our original system did not have. In fact, the original grid-tied system shut itself down if the grid were to cease providing electric power. This was a safety measure to prevent feedback and putting power into a dead grid. We wanted a system that would enable certain circuits, such as the HVAC blower and refrigerators and our telecommunications and computer systems, to remain powered for the duration of any grid outage. We wanted a system that would supply about half the power used in our home. I wanted a system that would let me see what was happening by way of internet access. A collaboration of Alternative Energy Systems of Athens, Georgia, and Lightning Energy Depot of Roswell, Georgia, produced the system shown in this tour. It is a hybrid system, part grid-tied and part off-grid. There are 7 circuits that are powered through the SolArk controller. The power for these circuits comes from the solar array or the battery bank. Only if the batteries are below their cutoff state and the solar panels were not providing sufficient power would these circuits get powered from the grid. Here is a tour of our system. Welcome to 45 Corey Court, Covington, Georgia. What you see here are 20 solar panels that were installed in September and October of 2019. They replaced 8 panels that I had installed about 2008, plus some solar thermal that I had in the upper roof. This slide shows the equipment that was installed on the roof. The Hanwha solar panels produce about 320 watts per panel and also have a Tigo energy optimizer installed at each panel. The 20 panels were installed and configured into 2 banks of 10 panels. This is the heart of the system. What you see here is a SolArk inverter controller, an 8K model, and above it a transfer switch and a secondary panel. The secondary panel is for circuits that go out to my wood shop and also to the computer room where my network controller is. The transfer switch up above basically lets 7 circuits that I have decided on be powered continually either by the solar panels, the batteries, or in worst case scenario, the SolArk will use the Georgia Power connection. This is also a workstation for our food pantry, but below it, what you see are 2 banks of 15 Caleb 400 amp hour LiFePO4 cells. And what you see in between here are in essence balancers. This software, the hardware here and software basically evens out the charge across all of these batteries. Left to right, the images show the transfer switch and SolArk wiring in process and the status screen on the SolArk. The images were taken after the solar panels were installed, but before the battery bank had been installed. These images show the LiFePO batteries being balanced before installation, the wiring diagram for the battery connection to the SolArk, and the completed installation. Each of the LiFePO4 batteries have a 400 amp hour rating. By configuring them in 2 parallel banks of 15, the combined battery bank has an effective 800 amp hour rating. This means the batteries could provide 1 amp for 800 hours or 2 amps for 400 hours. This shows a screenshot of the web interface with the SolArk controller. The 2 bars on the graph are for the first and for a day and a half in September, basically September 1st and 2nd. The values of the second stop around 1:30 p.m. when the image was captured. This screen shows the power flow across the system. It shows power coming from the solar panels. It shows power is going to charge the batteries. Power from the grid. And power going to the house from the SolArk inverter controller. This slide is the details of the power usage from August 2020 Georgia Power Bill. The total usage values, the rightmost column, is the sum of the on-peak, off-peak, and super off-peak values. The kilowatt hours received value is the power sent to the house panel from the SolArk. It does not include the energy sent to the dedicated circuits through the transfer switch. As noted on the slide, the SolArk supplies energy from the solar panels and the batteries to 7 household circuits. Any power beyond that is sent back to the house panel and is reflected in the kilowatt hours received line shown above. These slides show the value of the energy generated by the system using the same rate, that is 9 cents a kilowatt hour, as Georgia Power uses. The point of these graphs is to show, the point is that looking for a reduction in our power bill and using that reduction to calculate a return on investment is too simplistic for our installation. This is why I've used the power generated as the basis for calculating the value of the solar electric system at our home. Using that calculation, it was interesting to see that in March and April, we had negative values for our savings from our local generated Georgia Power at a kilowatt rate. What this really means is that for those 2 months, the effective amount that was generated in terms of 9 cents per kilowatt hour value was more than the power bill. Here's the bottom line. In 2020, from January through August, we purchased 8,541 kilowatt hours from Georgia Power, and it cost us $771.92. Our solar electric system generated 5,707 kilowatt hours, and using Georgia Power's rate, that is a value of $520.43. The argument that absent the solar electric system, our bill would have been $1,292.37 is too simplistic. For example, at our house, that energy includes the energy generated includes the energy used to charge the batteries, so that number is not valid. However, the system has generated 68% of the power consumed in the house, and that amounts to a value of $520. At this point, I'm very happy with our system. We have a hybrid system that is the best parts of the grid-tied and the off-grid schemes. Our system has produced the equivalent of over 50% of the power used. Our system has provided measurable value at a rate more than I expected. Last but not least, installing this system was and is the right thing to do in this critical time in the climate crisis. Thank you for coming to the tour.